The sociologist me and John were assigned is Marianne Weber. She was born August 2nd, 1870, and she died March 12th, 1954. Okay.
So Marianne was born to a father who was a doctor, Dr. Schnitger, and a mother who was the daughter of a prominent businessman, um, Carl Weber. Her mom died when she was 3, and at that point, she got sent off to live with her mother's sister and her mother's sister's sister. So basically, she's being raised by her aunts. Um, she lives with them for a while. Eventually, Granddad sends her off to finishing school. So she finishes finishing school. She comes back to live with her aunt on her father's side. Doesn't really like it so much. Goes to live with family in Berlin. Really likes the city life. At that point, she decides she's going to move back. And so she moves in with her cousins in Berlin. Lives with her cousins in Berlin for a while and marries one of them, Max.
This is Marianne's husband, Max Weber. He's the German sociologist that we studied earlier in the semester. Marianne and Max never had children, but they did share quite a few mutual friends together.
They were good friends with Georg Simmel and other prominent feminists from the time period. And so the circle of people that they were in were all people who were in the thought business.
Marianne Weber pursued higher education at Freiburg between 1894 and 95. In 1896, Marianne becomes the leader for a newly organized society for the dissemination of feminist ideas at Heidelberg University. The Webers worked together to help open Heidelberg to more women students. Marianne and Max Weber, they went on a tour in 1904. This tour lasted a decade, and this is where Marianne meets Jane Addams and Florence Kelley. Marianne viewed how much more esteemed women were in America. The quality of women's work in America outweighed the quality elsewhere. The importance was an objectively valuable task versus mere economic independence. During Marianne Weber's lifetime, she achieved recognition not only for her academic work, but also for her political work. She became the first female member of Parliament for Baden in 1920 and the president of the Federation of German Women's Organizations. Here is some of Marianne Weber's published articles and books, dating from 1900 to 1948.
Marianne Weber's main sociological focus was on creating a perspective of women. Uh, she centered on 3 specific aspects: the need for female autonomy, the significance of women's work in producing culture, and the unique standpoint of women. On the need for female autonomy, Marianne studied the historical concepts of marriage and found that men gain autonomy and self-fulfillment through marriage, where women do not. She wanted autonomy to replace a man's legal authority over his wife in marriage. She thought that the institution of marriage was important, but that we were doing it wrong. If women had the freedom and right to make their own lives, free of gender-assigned roles, then husband and wife could live happier, fulfilling lives together. On the significance of women's work in producing culture, her friend George Simmel's Sociology of Gender stated that men and women occupy 2 cultural spheres: an objective male world of public achievement and a personal female world of inner development. Now, Marianne argued that this didn't explain the work that women did in the home. The in-between, the grand sweeping tasks like philosophy and the further to the right side of self-reflective development was everything else, the practical and necessary aspects of regular existence. She called this the middle ground of an immediate daily life. This middle ground, she said, was where society and culture placed gender norms on every aspect of life. These norms determine who can work, what work they can do, and how important that work can be in the situated, unique standpoint of women. Now, the popular debate at the time was about communism reforming the capitalist system. And one theory said that the only path for gender equality was for women to leave the home and get a job. Their work in the factory would enable them to be taken as equal in a new worker society. Well, Marianne called BS on that, and she said that it didn't take women's distinct needs or viewpoints into account, whether they worked in the home or in the factory. Her point was that the family patriarchal system, where men run everything, was what needed to be fixed more than the capitalist labor system. I guess another way to say that was it didn't matter if it was capitalist or communist if the same gender was still in charge of everything. If one gender, if men were in charge of everything, then the bias was still against women.